Hey, Jalen. Hey, Jalen.
What do you want?
Jalen. What you having a good time over there, buddy? You want to talk about it?
Mr. Scott?
Listen, you ran from this. You ran from this all Saturday.
I know I did.
You ran from it, and now it is your time to suffer. Take it away, Chris.
Enjoy the Peach Bowl. Go M's.
But at the same time, I'm going to make this very clear.
I've been waiting for a long time, waiting all week.
But we all have Valdosta State ties, which is the reason why we decided to get this podcast a try.
Cairo, yeah.
Cairo, yes.
We don't say that.
New Jersey?
This is Title Town. We win championships.
Be fire in my loins.
That'll be later on in the podcast, folks.
I can't wait.
He made a promise to God. He said,
You allowed 28 points against a team that was essentially playing like a lucky person playing Madden, going for 2 after every touchdown.
and I think God has given him his end of the bargain.
The gigantic metaphorical middle finger.
The dirty myrtle is exactly how it sounds.
And this is the Inferno Blazer Sports Show.
Welcome back, everyone, to this utter madness that is the Inferno Blaze Sports Show. These two dill holes over here just making a complete mockery of me.
I thought he said something else.
Of course you think I said something
That's
else.
a new record with 7 seconds before we got demonetized.
And I thought it would be Kyle to have that record.
Exactly.
Oh
So anyways,
Or
welcome
Jack.
everyone to episode 6 of the Inferno Blaze Sports Show. I'm half man, half amazing, as Chris likes to call me. I'm Jalen Scott, voice of the volleyball team, PA announcer. Introducing the panel here, right across from me, I got Principal Calhoun, voice of the VSU basketball team on the away games. Introduce yourself, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Next to him, we got Kyle, Mr. Syrup Maker, camera 3 over here. Kyle, how you doing today,
Yep,
man?
doing good, Jalen.
Also
Better
got
than you.
introduced third today. I think that's ironic.
Exactly.
Chef's kiss.
I did it perfect. Exactly. That's how I did it. It's also
And I
the
don't
third
need no
track.
introduction. Last but certainly not least, guess what? Your favorite, the one, the only, the enforcer, Chris Mercer. Gentlemen, it has been a minute, man. How was y'all's Thanksgiving, first of all? Because it's past Thanksgiving. So how was everyone's
As you like to put it, the religious holiday.
Yes,
which is
yes,
fine.
absolutely.
We praised him after we had that turkey. That was mighty good this year. I
That
will
turkey
say
was
that.
dry.
Your
turkey.
I don't
was
When he
gone.
was bragging about it in our
I
group
don't
chat,
want to call
too.
any names because I don't know who listens to this, but buddy, I'm sorry. You have been taken off turkey duty.
Listen, man. Listen, sometimes the turkey can be overrated, just like Ohio State. But we're not going to talk about that right now. Man, oh man,
Oh,
we've
man.
for only being gone 1 week, we missed we got a lot of things to catch up on, and we got to kick things off. No pun intended. With football.
That's the second episode you've done that now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
You
we
were
had
just
good
great with
things,
jokes.
just like Ohio State.
You are great.
Kyle, I know that you have been chomping at the bit, and I know that you got, quite yourself a handful of things that you got to do with this. So, football, we got our first couple of playoff games in. We had Limestone, of course, the week before Thanksgiving, and of course Delta State this past week, and now we are getting ready, set for another home playoff game. And Kyle, take it away, man, with the recap.
Yeah, definitely, Chris. We got 3 games to talk about, 2 playoff games and another one coming up this Saturday. But VSU is back. They have returned to the winning ways in the playoffs as they win the first 2 rounds versus, like you said, Limestone and Delta State. We beat Limestone 62-41. Just looking at that first round matchup, Edwards passes for 344 yards. Sophomore Bud Cheney, really haven't heard a lot of him this season.
Yeah.
He led the rushing with 132 yards. A big thing with this game when I was looking at the stats, and y'all can chime in whenever you want with this, but Limestone was 0-8 on third down conversions compared to VSU's 10-16.
Yeah. 0-8 on third down conversions. That's not a winning formula.
Yeah, of course. And, the fact that Limestone got as many points as they did, it's all because the defense really let off the gas.
That's
But shout out to
103.
Sammy
Yeah.
Edwards, 6
Yeah,
touchdown
shout out,
passes in that
Yeah.
game, if I'm not mistaken.
But, I mean, the defense...
Second time he's done that in this season.
Baker's dozen.
Yeah, man.
No, it's not. That's a half dozen, I should
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, we have to say,
Yeah.
it's
half dozen there.
Yeah, but y'all are missing my point here. I mean, defense really let off the gas.
They did in that second
And
half.
listen, I understand, you're up big and you're like, oh, we're going to the second round. Where are we going? But, they kind of let off the gas. And that was kind of concerning. I know that's a little bit different than what we saw in the Delta State game, which I'll get into in a minute. But, I mean, it's okay to kind of get conservative at the end of the game, but that wasn't a good look.
Yeah, because they were like playing a lot of prevent. They were just allowing that stuff because they were, they were up. They definitely took their foot off the gas, and that was concerning against a team like Delta State, who we talked about. Then VSU's lone loss that year, this season, with they scored 49 on us last year for Delta State, and that was like
that was this year.
I'm assuming this year, and they scored, I believe, 70 the year before in 2022. So like, it was
77.
70. I think it was 70.
70. 70
Sorry, we got rocked by both Mississippi schools last year.
It was not fun.
Oh, yeah, I forgot Mississipippi College.
The Choctaws.
Yeah, that I cannot pronounce at volleyball to save my life, but that's a conversation for another day.
It's a conversation we hope you never have again, Chris.
Oh my God. We have to do that in the Christmas episode. But anyway, we got Delta State.
Yeah, speaking of Delta State, we avenged that only loss on the season, 38-31. It was basically VSU's passing game versus Delta State's running game, really.
Yeah.
I mean, when you really look at the stats. But me and Chris actually listened to the end of this game on the radio, and all I got to say is this was a very, very good ending.
Yeah, I will say this: the big turning point was a shank punt that gave them great field position starting on their side of the field.
That was near the end of the game, but I want to kind of back it up even more. So the Statesmen take a 31-28 lead thanks to a Blazer fumble deep in their own territory. I think it was like on the 17 or 12-yard line, somewhere around there, and when that happens, I'm like, oh, so we're about to lose.
Yeah, that's a massive prime scoring opportunity for 4 downs.
Blazer defense, they hold them to a field goal. Yeah. VSU responds with a field goal of their own to tie it back up at 31, and then Statesmen get the ball back. They force a 3-and-out, Blazer defense does, and then, like Chris was saying, a rather bad punt. I mean, we talked about that when we heard it live. We was like, oh, that's not a good punt.
That was not at all.
Yeah, they put us in a great territory to be successful. Yeah. And Edwards connects with BK Smith for the game-winning touchdown. Yeah. We are back home this week versus Lenore-Ryan.
Yes, indeed. This is, for us as the camera crew, for 3 out of the 4 of us, we're camera crew for each of the home games. This is the most I've ever had to do for a season in terms of football. This is our 8th football game we've had this year, and all of them are different from the rest, but and it's a joy to do it. But man, oh man,
he loves that Waffle House on Saturdays.
Listen,
we got to get back to the Waffle House.
We have to get back to Waffle House.
That'll be after the game.
Yeah, that'll be after the game.
Gotta be
the game starts at 1. But I will say this though, they shored up that defense. There was no letting them off the gas, because the defense, we talked about it, with the Limestone game and how they needed to shore things up. They sure enough shored things up.
Well, I mean, they didn't have much choice. It was back and forth. Yeah, you had to be
but that
on your
defensive
A
drive,
game the entire time.
Holding them in after that fumble to 3 was huge, because they go back down. VSU goes back down the field and ties it, and that with another field goal. So you really couldn't ask more of the defense in that situation.
The defense really stepped up, and that was the big thing with VSU with the coaching changes. They decided that they really needed a defensive-minded coach, because when you get blown out in the championship, you're kind of going to be looking for defense, and that's what we got now.
And that's a great chance that we can be talking about in the weeks to come, that VSU is back in the championship game, especially with the dominoes of teams that have fallen this year.
And I'm not trying to call our shot or anything, but I'm pretty sure that I would get sent to cover that game if we do make it. So we'd have somebody on the field. That'd be kind of cool.
That would.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. But
VSU is going to be heading out, not to interrupt, but getting ready to hand out tickets out for if we do make it and pay for the hotels.
Well, they did that 2 years ago too. Yeah. But not trying to look too forward. Looking at this Lenore-Ryan game, they're 10-1 coming in this Saturday, 1 p.m. This is the first time the Blazers have been in the quarterfinals since 2021. Lenore-Ryan is coming off their first road playoff win in school history. The Bears beat Shepherd 63-17. Then they beat the number 1 seed in the Super Region, Benedict, 35-25. And Benedict comes from I don't want to say a worse conference, because I hate to say that, but they do say the GSC is the SEC of Division II. So when it's all said and done, you really got to think about strength of schedule and all that. And what I'll say about Shepherd is I looked at their record as well, and they kind of had a down season, but Shepherd is not a school to look lightly at. And the fact that they totally destroyed them 63-17, that's something to really be thinking about. As for matchups that we've both faced, Lenore-Ryan beat Limestone earlier this year 31-28 in overtime. And all I'll say with this is the last time VSU beat Lenore Ryan in the playoffs, they won the championship. That was 2018.
That's true.
Yeah, man, we got to get it done, man. Sammy Edwards has been the big driving force for the offense, and they got to come. They got to come to play this week again. And I mean, he has an 8 touchdown to 0 interception ratio so far in this playoffs. So he's been really good here in these first couple of games.
Sorry to cut you off there, Kyle. But another thing to keep a note on with Sammy Edwards, he's just been named a finalist for the Harlan Hill Trophy.
Oh yeah, top 9,
top 9 in Super Region 2 for that Harlan Hill Trophy.
I wonder who called that earlier in the season.
Huh?
I wonder who called that earlier in the season.
Costradamus over here.
Yeah. Costradamus, yes, absolutely.
The syrup maker.
Yeah, the syrup maker called it.
Yeah.
But, looking ahead to a potential semifinal matchup, we still don't know if we would host that game. And, obviously in the semifinals, they reseed. And I don't know if y'all know this, but this is something that I learned from 2 years ago. They do the seeding by home game on who is the top 2 seeds. And, seeding is one thing, 1 through 4, but another thing for Division II is they also look at geography and what is going to be the cheapest way to play a football game.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, 2 years ago, we played Colorado Mines and they had to fly over here on a plane, but I very much doubt that we're going to be playing Colorado Mines in the semifinals. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not even really familiar with the semifinal matchups or the quarterfinals right now, but I do know Grand Valley's still in there. I know Colorado Mines is still in there. Yeah. So those are 2 really good teams. Grand Valley beat Ferris State, the defending champ, earlier in the playoffs. Yeah. So we're getting to the nitty-gritty of these are the teams that could potentially win a championship.
The Elite 8.
Yeah, I've always said that there are only a certain amount of teams in Division II that are really eligible to even be in play for a championship. And lucky for us, Valdosta State is one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. The game coming out is Saturday. This Saturday coming. This coming weekend, 1:00 p.m. kickoff. Man, come out and support our Blazers, man. We got to pack out.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. We got to pack it out, man. It's going to be really good. Jack,
leave no space at the bays.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
There you go.
Or as that nice reporter for WTXL put it, how'd she say? Was it Baser Hidemore Stadium?
Baser Hidemore.
Baser Hidemore Stadium.
Right. Can we update them on the lore of that real quick?
Okay,
please.
All right.
Yes.
So
go right ahead. Go right ahead.
All right. So this is the first edition.
Oh my God,
this is the first.
Talking about?
This is our first of many segments. I'm sure it's called a lore session. So
the lore.
In our group chat, we like to refer to our home stadium here as how do we say it again? Baser Hidemore Stadium.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now the joke is it's actually titled Bazemore Hyder Stadium. And when I was doing research, I was writing a story about Valdosta High School and Lowndes High School playing, and I was doing some research, and apparently WTXL sends a reporter down here to talk about Wintersville, considering it's such a really big deal, especially not only in this community, but for Georgia football is a big deal.
Yep,
absolutely.
And so she was here, and I'm not trying to make fun because I've had my gaffes too. But this is one of my favorite news clips I've ever seen, and it was from, I believe it was this season. They had a reporter. She's standing right outside the gate, okay, of the front gate of Cleveland Field here in Valdosta. And she says, I'm outside of the... All right, hang on. I keep getting tripped up here. Baser Hidemore is what she should have said. But she said... Was it
Baser Hidemore?
Wait, Baser Hidemore.
That's what she said, Jack. That's not what she should have said.
Yeah, that's what she should have said.
She should have said Baser Hidemore. No.
Bruh.
Wait,
oh my God.
They got me tripped up now.
That's karma. That is karma. That is instant karma.
They got me tripped up. All right. So... Bazemore Hyder Stadium is the correct term. And she said Baser Hidemore Stadium. Okay? Now, gaffes happen, but what made it 2 times as funny was she's standing, and in the shot, she's got a standing shot, she's right in the middle, it's a medium shot, and right behind her, you can see the words, okay? Bazemore Hyder Stadium, and then Cleveland Field right behind it. And then what made it 10 times funny was she said, for this anticipated Wintersville matchup between Valdosta and the Wildcats. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Wildcats are Valdosta High School, and Lowndes County is the Vikings. So Lowndes didn't even get a mention for their name or their mascot.
Sound like a scrimmage.
So if
we know if this woman is still employed.
She is. See, I've seen it on the news couple times.
I won't comment on that.
Listen, the only jobs that need to be up for discussion right now is Ryan Day. But let's not.
I'll get to that. I will get to that later. I will get to that later.
Speaking
hold on to that microphone, Jalen.
Yeah, man. That's the only thing you're holding on to
repping the
right
Michigan
now.
blue M on his shirt.
But speaking of, we're talking.
Did I miss something here? What just happened?
Listen, the voice of the.
Yes, you did.
I missed a lot.
The voice. Listen, Jack, as you are the road voice of the Blazers, man, you're just coming back from the long road trip.
It was not short.
The long road trip for.
You guys are such children.
Is that what she said, Jack?
That is why you subscribe and like this show.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yes,
share with your friends.
Yes.
Show your mom.
Anyway.
No, for the love of God, don't do
Mr.
that.
Harris, your mother is now here.
Yeah, show John's mom.
Oh, no.
Oh my God, this is gonna get edited so bad.
No.
Anyway, you're coming back in, Jack, from the road trip out in Tennessee and also in Rome, Georgia.
Yes.
So talk about the road trip for the VSU.
So
basketball.
for those of you that don't know, I do the road commentary for both our men and women's basketball teams, and I get to travel with them on the bus whenever they go to conference games. And we had our opening conference road trip against Lee University in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then we also went down to Rome, Georgia on Monday night for our game against Shorter University. Now, I have to say the Lady Blazers came up very close at the very end of the Lee game. They fell 59-53, I believe the score was, and they were down there. They were down their first. They're down their starting point guard, and they still played valiantly, and they fell there at the very end. And I mean, I'm not trying to sound disrespectful, but the men's team, they got ran out of the gym to start off the league game. They got down 16-4, but the rest of the way it was tied. So if they could suppress that run at the beginning of the game, it could have gone either way. But then we go to Shorter on Monday and pick up two very dominant wins. The men won, I believe it was 78-62, and the pride of Dougherty County himself, Mike Eisler, had, I believe it was 10 points, a couple rebounds, and he had a dunk that, my oh my, it was so loud I could hear it through my headphones on the broadcast.
Yeah, a thunderous dunk is
yeah. And then J.C. Clausey, he led all scores with I believe it was 18 points that night. It was a nice
career
bus,
high for him, I believe.
I believe it was too.
Yeah.
It's a nice bus ride home. Getting to eat some pizza and hang out with the dudes on the way back. But I will say one of the best things about the road trip has got to be just being with the team and seeing how they interact with the culture and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the women's team, they're a very close knit bunch. I travel with them more so because they play first, so I go with them for the most part. But there's nobody thinks they're better than everybody else. Everybody just they try to be a team. They're not focused on individualism. They're focused on being as a team.
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
one
cool
thing
to see.
Coach Heffler always talks about, and I speak to him.
Well, I'm talking about the women's team.
Yeah, absolutely, but also the same thing for men's as well.
Right.
And that definitely plays a factor, especially when you're playing on the road as they were and opening
Absolutely.
up GSC play.
And I will say, it doesn't happen all the time. I want to give a shout out to the women's team as well. They scored more than the men did on Monday. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like Kyle said a couple episodes ago, like if you only come to the basketball games to just watch the men's, you are missing out.
You really are.
Yeah.
You're sincerely missing out.
And there's not a chance for you to miss out coming up this weekend, and that is a great segue. We open up home GSC play this coming
Against the Mississippi schools, that's right.
Yes, indeed. We get
Delta State on Friday and Mississippi College on Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we got a full block of VSU sports.
And also VSU football, of course, against Lenore Rhines. That is Saturday. So, 3 straight days of Blazers being in action, man. If I'm not mistaken, if you get one ticket for one of the games, you get free admission into the rest of the games this weekend.
If you get the ticket to the football game, you get the ticket for basically
the
entire weekend. Yeah,
man. Yeah, VSU, come and support, man. This is a great time to be a Blazer, man. Let's get ready to get
even
to
with finals coming up.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus. All right, we're getting ready to go to the break, man. We're going to come back, recap a little bit of volleyball because it's been a minute, and let's get into some NFL and prove how I was really smart about saying Frank Wright was on the hot seat, because I said that a couple weeks back, and you didn't believe me.
They were still wrong to do it.
Yeah, but still, we'll come back right after this. This is the Inferno.
But at the same time, I'm going to make this very clear. If you're not tuning into the Inferno, you're missing out on a fun time. Based in the heart of Titletown, USA in Valdosta, Georgia, 4 Valdosta State students come together to discuss Blazer athletics and other topics in and out of the sports realm. Catch me, Chris, Kyle, and Jack on all of the platforms that the Inferno is streaming on. And be sure to check out our Instagram at the Inferno BSS. Again, that is at the Inferno BSS. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the Inferno, where chaos run supreme. I can't with y'all. I am Chris Mercer, man. Jack, we're recapping a little bit about volleyball and coming short in their tournament matchup a couple weeks back. You really put something really eloquent with this season and how much they've grown. I would love for you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So for those of you that haven't been listening in the past, my first love, other than this podcast, is sports commentary, and the first chance I ever got was with the Valdosta State volleyball team. So the last 2 seasons, I've gotten to know all the players and the coaches, like Coach Suha. I've gotten to watch them grow as a team, and I saw their season come to an end. They lost in 5 sets, and they were really close to pulling off an upset that just fell in the 5th and final set. But it was bittersweet to see it. You hate to see the season end, but I just wanted to give a shout out to all the fine men and women behind the scenes of the volleyball operation here at Valdosta State.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's obviously a growing sport. I mean, by the time we all probably have children, it'll be, I don't want to say more accepted. It's not that, but it'll probably be, there'll probably be more support, this and that. But I mean, the support here is growing every year, and it's just so nice to see. And like I remember last year when we had a losing record, and everybody's like, "Oh man, our team's this and our team's that," and I'm like, "Well, we also had a very young team last year." I mean, I believe with the exception of Olivia Piazza from last season's team, who was the lone senior, everybody else was either a freshman or sophomore. I mean, inexperience is going to lead to that kind of thing at the beginning, but I mean, you could see there was a turnaround this year. Obviously, they had that that 6-game stretch where they just dropped a bunch of games, and it obviously affected their conference seeding. But like, for example, I think about the times where they were able to sweep people. I think about the times we went to 5 sets. I remember working a tournament. I'm pretty sure all you guys were working it that day too. Mm-hmm. We had that tournament on my birthday.
Yes. Oh yeah, the 2-day tournament.
Yeah, the 2-day tournament. I mean, I've spent my 21st birthday doing what I love, and
took a little break in between.
Yes, took a little break in between. We're not gonna talk about that, but I just feel I feel appreciative, and I'm glad that I was afforded the opportunity to do that, and I just wanted to let the fine people behind the operation of volleyball know they always got a piece of me, because in years down the road when we're all in our different professions and moved up the chains and whatnot, I'll remember who gave me my start. So I just want to say thank you to the volleyball operation here.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. So, how do I want to put this next segment? How do I want
bluntly?
Yes, gladly. Mr. Jalen Scott, you have a lot to explain.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
Yes, indeed. Yep. Your Ohio State Buckeyes, for the 3rd consecutive year.
A new streak has started.
Yes, indeed. The 3s are up.
Yes, 3s up.
Because the O is down.
Losing.
Yeah.
This man was AWOL for hours.
Let us explain the lore of that. Yes. Let's me
I commentated
and Kyle,
a game
if you couldn't,
and didn't hear from this man.
If you all couldn't tell, we are all very much friends in real life and not in a podcast.
Wait, we are? No.
Yeah. Come on, seriously. I better hope so. But Jack, you were off for the Blazer road trip, and me and Kyle, we were we were both here after Thanksgiving, and we were like, man, let's watch the games today, because it's obviously rivalry week, and out of all the
best week of college football.
Yeah, we watched a full
other than this
slate
week
of college
coming with
football.
conference championship week, which I think is maybe as hype as it was last year, especially with so many good teams. But we're gonna get to that in a minute. But we were all sitting there, we were all looking around like, man, this is a good day with Ohio State, Michigan, aka possibly the best rivalry. Definitely the best rivalry.
It is the game.
But it's the best college football rivalry in Division I. But it is also, I think, one of the best rivalries in sports. I think it's one of the best rivalries in sports.
I would say
it's most highly publicized in sports. I'll give you that. I won't say it's the best, but yeah.
Well, that would be a great episode talking about.
That would be a great episode. That's an extra ember right there.
Yeah, that's absolutely an extra ember right there. But we were watching that game, sitting there with the wings, and as every good man should, have some wings while they're men and women, of course.
We're inclusive. We're very inclusive. Everybody enjoys equally.
You guys aren't inclusive to wins,
Enjoy
though.
responsibly.
I'm on fire right now. We were sitting there watching the game, and the game ended like what, 3:00, 4?
Yeah, it was a little after 3:30.
Yeah,
let me also provide some context as well. We had a game at Lee University at 2:00, so I have to run the radio through my phone. And every time I get a notification, my phone lights up. My phone was lighting up about 4:00. I'm like, what is going on?
And things you missed in that.
Because here's the thing. My service kept cutting in and out, my Wi-Fi, I should say. And so I'd get score updates, and I'm like, I have a good friend of mine down in Orlando he's a big Michigan fan, and he was telling me the score updates, and then it got to the last 2 minutes of the game, and I wasn't getting any messages. So I have no idea what happened. And then all I hear is the buzzing of the phone, and it just kept going off for minutes after minutes.
I am so proud that you cleaned that up. I am so proud that you cleaned that up, because sir, that was about to be another clip. What? But yeah, we were going crazy in the group chat, because
because he went MIA.
Yeah, like he went MIA.
Listen, I get it. You're crying in the corner, but still, report to the group chat.
I was crying like Tyrese in that video.
What more do you want from me?
You better clip that. Like, I am telling you, that man disappeared until the end of the Iron Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. I got back to the hotel after the men's game before I heard back from Jalen.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. That's when the private text of hitting
I kept texting
did you actually?
Are you okay?
Yeah. Yes, they actually private messaged me to make sure I was okay.
Are you sure? We are listen.
We're honestly concerned.
And let me give context.
I haven't seen somebody go AWOL this bad since Ohio State's playoff chances.
I was not okay after that game.
In the words of Kyle Hawthorne, we did not get this. That's what Ohio State said.
Oh my God.
And here's the thing. Do you guys want to know what makes it even worse?
What makes it worse?
From rivalry
the fact that
week.
you're a Buckeyes fan? Yeah, that's what it is.
And a Cowboys fan?
Whatever.
What is your associations, my guy? Why?
There is no association. I am chaos incarnate.
AKA the ACC. But
no, more like the Pac-12. I'll get to that in a second. So I actually have a story to talk about with that. There's been a new update to that. But what makes the Ohio State loss even worse is after rivalry week, every team in the top 10 except 2 won the rivalry game. UGA beat Georgia Tech. Washington beat Washington State. Florida State beat Florida. Oregon beat Oregon State. Texas defeated Texas Tech. Alabama defeated Auburn. Missouri defeated Arkansas. The only 2 teams who didn't win was Louisville, who was 10 at the time, losing to Kentucky, and of course, my Buckeyes losing to
Jalen, that's a little bit of an overrated stat, though, because somebody in the top 10 had to lose because they were 2-3, though.
I know.
Yeah.
Here's the I probably wouldn't have recorded and said that if it was only Ohio State and Michigan, but considering Louisville also lost, it kind of gives me a little bit.
You shouldn't feel good about yourself at all.
I should never.
You guys had a chance.
This game was close. This game was awful.
It wasn't like it was last year where you guys got blown out. This was close.
This was an actual waste of a defensive performance. Granted, they didn't play the best. The defense did not play the best.
It's time.
Jim Knowles' scheme worked to a degree.
About to go Stonewall.
It worked fine. It worked fine. But oh my God, what is offense? What is offense with 500, Alex? I don't know. Callum McCord can tell you if he looks at someone else other than one receiver the entire play. And I'm sorry for everyone that I'm yelling to this microphone.
Jalen, I just have one question for you.
I just have a lot of pent up aggression.
I have one question for you, Jalen Scott.
What is it?
When that game went final, Did you cry?
I did not cry. Rather, I took off my jersey and threw it. I threw my jersey multiple times. So
you burned your jersey?
No, I did not burn my
Chris
jersey.
Was saying things are getting thrown in that household.
Man, Ohio, people that likes Ohio sports and burning things are a really common combination.
You are a factory of sadness.
Listen,
it's almost as bad as Philly.
Rivalry week is one of the best weekends of college football, but man, conference championship weekend is just as important. And one of the bigger games that I have my eye on is Georgia, Alabama.
I think the whole country's got their eye on that.
Yeah.
Because that is a real possibility.
It's either that or Oregon, Washington.
Yeah. Because, that's two, top 5 teams because Oregon.
Yeah, but that's West Coast. At the end of the day, most people really don't care about West Coast.
Here's the thing, though, about the Pac-12 and, dissolving over the next few months.
Which was wrong.
It is wrong because at the end of the day, there is nothing
Washington should not be in the same conference with a team from Ohio. Just like Cal and Stanford shouldn't be in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
same
coast
thing
to
with
coast
SMU. Like, why?
Or as Jalen Lessig put it, the Coast to Coast Conference.
That's literally what it is.
That's what they need
as he was trying to avoid the questions asked in the group chat on Saturday.
The Coast to Coast Conference. That is their.
Chris was like, we don't care. We don't care.
We want answers.
Yes, man. You better enjoy that Peach Bowl, Ohio State.
I'm not.
Hope y'all can hold on to the lead this time.
Right, Jalen?
But we were talking about.
He flipped me off.
Just one of the things that really does bother me with the landscape of college football changing. Yes, I'm excited for the new playoff expanding format, especially after this
quote
year
unquote playoff. Yeah,
especially can see how many good teams are within that 8 that where it's going to be expanded to next year.
For context here, looking at the recently updated FBS college football playoff polls, if we were playing in the 12 seed format, it would be Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Oregon State getting the byes. It would have been
Oregon State.
I'm sorry. I think I missed State. Yeah, Florida State. I misspoke. And it would have been
his O's mixed up.
It would have been Oregon versus
State
Oklahoma.
OSU.
It would have been Oregon versus Oklahoma, Ohio State versus Ole Miss, Texas versus Penn State, and Alabama versus Missouri. If we were in the 12 team, think about the amount of cross-conference matchups that we don't ever get in the regular season. Now we just get pure unbridled chaos.
I will say this though, if they're going to do anything in terms of switching up conferences and as much as bad as that's doing, and talking about how the Pac-12, it shouldn't just end like that. It should go out with a bang, but it's going out with a whimper. But honestly, it can go out with a bang considering the fact how good this matchup is going to be.
I'm going to say because one of these teams, in all likelihood, is making the playoffs. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But just
and why is it going to be Oregon?
Growing up for all of us, it was you're watching the SEC around 3:00. You might get a Big Ten game around.
And then we were staying up late as we could to watch. Marcus Mariota.
What's his name? Andrew Luck when he was at Stanford. So having that conference go does make me sad. Conference as we know it. I mean, there is different ways where they can.
They will have the Pac-2 next year.
Yeah. And actually, now I think about it, like Jack said with the Pac-2, there's been an update in the whole Pac-12 situation.
Really?
Going from the AP News, it states the Washington Supreme Court granted a request by the University of Washington, the Pac-12, to say they're going to put a hold on Washington State and Oregon State getting sole control of the Pac-12, which was a ruling that was given 2 weeks ago. So now the Washington Huskies have come in and said, okay, there is we think that only the 2 teams being able to veto the rest of the remaining teams, even though they're going to be leaving in the next couple months, we should still have power.
I got a simple fix for that. Mm-hmm. If you're not staying, you don't get a choice.
And that's what Washington State.
It's that simple. If you want to go to another conference, by all means, you go mess up geography for the other conferences, but you don't tell us how to run this conference.
Yeah, and that's what Washington State and Oregon State, that's what they're saying.
What is your quote? What is your quote? what is it? Know your role. What is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. In the words of the great one, The Rock, know your role and shut your mouth.
Exactly.
I cannot
stress
that.
I hope Washington loses on Saturday.
So Washington State and Oregon State, they're arguing.
They probably will because, there's always a fraud in the mix.
They're arguing that the other 10 schools relinquished their right to determine the future of the conference when they announced they'd be leaving for the other Power 5 leagues.
They do. Yeah, if you're leaving, then why do you have a say?
Yeah. I mean, there should be 2 words being said to them.
Revenue sharing. Stop with the revenue sharing.
Yeah, man. And also 2 words to all the teams that's leaving. And I say it at the end of every show. Bye, Felicia. So, leave it be. Yeah. Look, let's take a break for a minute and let's get to some NFL and a little bit of NBA because, it's about time we go. We talk about that a little bit. This is the Inferno.
Good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be and whenever you may be listening. Thank you for joining us on the Inferno Blazer Sports Show.
It's a new day in Titletown, thus we provide a new episode of the Inferno Blazer Sports Show. This is going fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our second time having to record this because
here's this new guy that's starting us off. Gosh.
Oh, man. It's good to see ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Inferno. I am the enforcer, the one and only Chris Mercer.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Inferno Blazer Sports Show. My name is Kyle Hawthorne, and let's get right into it.
Listen, man, there's only one thing you must understand about us, man. If you can't take the heat, what makes you think you can survive the Inferno?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Welcome back to the Inferno, man.
Lord have mercy indeed.
All right, we are in week 13 of the NFL season, man. Can you believe we're in week 13? No. I mean, this year is just flying by right now. And, we're getting into the nitty gritty of the NFL season. First weekend of December, we got a Thursday nighter of the Seattle Seahawks heading to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. That is at 8:15 Eastern time.
The Cowboys on prime time again? Come on.
I know. Jerry Jones.
Who is even a fan of this team anymore?
Dolly Parton.
Oh, man.
That's true.
Listen,
I'm on fire right now.
Quick story.
Yeah, go ahead.
I live with my grandfather, and one of the things he's always wanted to do before he dies is dance with Dolly Parton. And he's always loved the Cowboys. And when I tell you, I thought this man was going to have cardiac arrest on Thursday. When he saw Dolly Parton walk out in that cheerleader's uniform, we had to tell him to sit down. Okay. We were like, Papa, it's okay, but you need to. He was grabbing his chest. I'm like, dude, it's okay. Sit down. It's okay.
Well, I mean, that's that kind of, grabbing on your chest is kind of like the Seahawks right now because they're on a mix of a collapse right now. They're at 6-5. They've dropped some easy games,
especially when they keep giving their fans heart attacks.
Yeah, I know. They got that. Yeah, they truly are right now. But the Cowboys, they're hot. They're good. They're good.
What, hot garbage? No,
surprisingly,
they're 8-3.
Speaking of hot garbage, for the first time in a
long. Yeah.
For the first time ever, one of Kyle's teams finally beat.
Welcome back to the Kyle versus Jack thing.
You guys are in tank division with none of you all having a winning record.
All I'm saying right now is if the season ended right now, the Cowboys would be coming to Atlanta for the playoffs.
That is true.
All I have to say is that if that were to happen and the Cowboys lose in that playoff game,
oh my God,
I would go AWOL for a week.
Oh yeah,
that'd be the one time ever for the Falcons.
Oh my God,
go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, Jalen, I will come across the table.
I will go AWOL for a week if that happens. I will not report to anybody.
Oh my God.
If that happens, the laughter that will come out of my mouth.
Oh, I know.
Will be so loud. The people in Cairo will hear me.
Oh my God.
There's no way that's happening. And if it does,
loud there, ain't he?
If that happens, you will never hear the end of it.
I know I'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah. But the Falcons beat the Saints 24-15. Jack, let me ask you a question. How do you lose to Desmond Ridder?
I don't know. I didn't get to watch the game.
When you have Dennis Allen as your head coach.
Listen, I was all for giving Dennis Allen a chance, and I believe he gets one more year. But if he can't turn around, then you got to give him a chance.
Speaking of one more year, let's talk about
Frank
a coach
Reich
who
did not get that. Yeah. For the second straight year, he's gotten fired in the midst of the season.
And Carolina was wrong for that.
Yeah, we talked about
if you're not going to give a guy 3, don't give him a chance.
I will say this, though. We were talking about hot seats over the last several weeks, and I brought up the name Frank Reich You could probably pull up that clip.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, let's
Dude,
go
it's
and
one
pull
of the
that
3
clip
times
up.
you've been right on the show. Yeah, we got that clip somewhere.
Oh my God, I've been right more than once. I promise.
Go Blazers, sponsored by GSC Sports.
Frank
There's your little history lesson there, folks.
But also, Frank Wright, for the Panthers season this year, this
You
couldn't have
think
gone.
Frank Wright's on the hot?
I just have to.
He's got the prestige. He's not going anywhere.
Where do you see him? Where do you go from here if you're the Panthers?
Only up.
But,
literally.
but honestly, what do you do like off season wise? Because it's like you have the potential talent to be more than a 1-win squad.
Listen, fix up that offensive line first.
This is what I'll say. As someone who grew up in Panther territory for most of his childhood, I've seen the pieces, and there's no reason that Carolina can't be competitive. And quite frankly, because of the way Atlanta, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay run their franchises, there's no reason that Carolina can't win the division 7 out of 10 years in a decade.
But the question is, how much of this is being meddled on by David Tepper?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, considering the fact that Tepper was the one that wanted Bryce Young, and they wanted, I think Frank Reich wanted Stroud in the draft.
So there's a massive conflict.
See how that's worked out.
This is what I got to say about this. They fire Frank Wright. Who wants to be the Carolina coach right now? They fired Ron Rivera, Matt Rule, and now Frank Wright. Who wants to coach at Carolina? There is zero job security.
And the thing is, I says in our group chat as well. I'm sorry to cut you off again, Kyle.
Yeah,
but
you're fine.
What I said in our group chat is David Tepper and everybody in that Carolina organization, they regretted the Matt Rule signing so much. They panicked in the wrong direction and fired Frank Reich after 11 games. That's 2 games shorter than Urban Meyer's tenure with the Jets.
Urban Meyer was out here kicking people.
Yeah, exactly. There is no
was
way.
Embracing the grind.
Yeah, there is no way that if I am a potential head coach for Carolina, if I'm in that position, I'm going into that meeting and I'm saying, hey, are you going to believe in me for at least more than 1 season?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there is no way that if I'm in that position, I'm going to fight to make that team better if you're not going to believe in me.
I mean, Jesus, I thought Dan Snyder was a terrible owner.
Yeah.
Like, he's making him
There is
look.
no way.
That is
And I'm not saying that just because they're a division rival, because let's be honest. Let's be honest. I could care less about the Panthers. They're irrelevant. But there's no way I would do that if I was in his position.
I will say this though, man. I feel for Panthers fans. I mean, at least they have a 1st-round pick to.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you traded all of that for Oh Jesus, all that for Bryce
and
Young.
the Bears still have the first. They still have the first overall pick, which something I found. I found a couple stories on this, like scrolling through ESPN and stuff. There were questions about Justin Fields' future with the Bears, considering the Bears now have the 1st and I believe 5th overall picks.
They can't develop a quarterback.
So the question
worth a damn.
So the question
it's the same thing with the Jets.
And I got this wrong.
You talking about the same Jets that beat your Eagles earlier this year?
Listen. The Jets are the only reason why we're not unbeaten, and that.
No, Zach Wilson's the only reason you're not.
Listen,
unbeaten.
at least it could be worse. You could lose to the Cardinals. About them Cowboys.
Whatever. But the thing I was saying was something that I got wrong last episode regarding Justin Fields is that
lost the Cardinals too.
You better stop before I make this episode explicit.
Oh my God!
Yeah, before I do as well. But what I was saying was Justin Fields is actually on a 4-year contract. He's either on his 1st or 2nd year. So
he's about to get picked up for his 5th option.
Jack, will you please stop the mic?
What the?
Sir,
I'm not gonna have to censor that. I think I'm gonna have to censor that.
He warned us. He said it 30 seconds before.
I see this man, and he's like all up on the mic like this. I don't know what that is.
I'm trying to have people understand what I'm saying. Chris, will you get those for the mic?
Well,
listen, I just do.
Your tongue does not need to be out, sir.
My tongue is not.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, Kyle, where are you going with that, sir?
We're gonna have to cut this whole part.
But anyways, like I was saying, Justin Fields on either his 1st or 2nd year of his 4-year contract that they signed him to. They signed him to the same year they got the 1st overall pick because the Bears were confident in Fields to be their starter.
Yeah.
And now the Bears are in a situation where They have the first overall pick. They also have the 5th overall pick. And now there's a potential Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to be declaring for the draft. After the
why would
he not?
Because here's the thing.
Why would he want to? Like seriously, why would he want to?
It's bad enough he plays at that institution.
From what he said, from what we've gotten so far, I don't think he said anything explicitly. But there's 2 things Marvin Harrison has not done in his illustrious career with Ohio State:
beat Michigan,
and play in the Big Ten championship. Those are the 2 things
he's not
going to
do that while he's at Ohio State.
To play in the Big Ten championship, you got to beat Michigan.
If Ohio State can't beat Michigan without Jim Harbaugh, y'all ain't beating them with him.
And going back to the scorching seat, my little take here, Ryan Day.
I don't know where the hell he's going.
He said my little alarm. 3-stage fire under Ryan Day's seat right now.
Yeah. But we're talking NFL, and I'm talking, some of these key games here in this first week of December. Something that I sure enough did not have on my calendar, a critical matchup in the AFC is Broncos and Texans. Who would have thought that in week 3 that this game is right now potentially for a playoff spot right now so far? CJ Stroud has been as good as advertised, and Carolina is somewhere
finally an Ohio
out.
State quarterback. That's worth something.
Yeah, no, exactly. But also Denver, who would have? I mean, they got 70 put on them in week 3, and now that they've won 5 in a row, tied for the longest win streak in the NFL right now. I mean, they're hot. I mean, who you guys have in this? This is a critical game, and the AFC, especially with Joe Burrow now done for the year. The Jets most likely are not trotting out Aaron Rodgers at this point. The AFC is wide open. So who do you guys have in this critical game this week so far in the AFC?
I think the Broncos stay hot.
Broncos country.
What you got?
Let's go with the hot hand.
I'll be the outlier. I think the Texans get it done.
Yeah. I think so too. I'm rooting for Texans in that one.
I could see.
CJ Stroud is the real deal. I've watched this guy play in person.
Tank Dell. Tank Dell as well.
Tank Dell is nice, man. He is. But this is the game I've had circled on my calendar just as much as Chiefs Eagles, which I can't believe we won in the second half. But 49ers and Eagles. I have been hearing it since January. Oh, the Niners would have won if they had Brock Purdy and not had Johnson back there at quarterback. But let's keep it 100. Y'all were losing that game. But
injuries are a part of the game. Get over it.
Thank you.
People have told me for years. People would have told me for years, if Jameson Williams didn't get hurt, if Marvin Harrison didn't get hurt. No, injuries are a part of the game. You deal with it. If that's the case, there's 1 or 2 other titles Georgia wins too. So you chalk it up to the game.
That's fair.
But this is a huge game. The top 2 seeds right now in the NFC going at it. Philadelphia 10-1. We should be 11-0, but that's a conversation for another time.
But you lost to the Jets.
I know, but Jalen Hurts had a great game last week against the Bills. 5 total touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 that didn't come from the brotherly shove, so people can get off my back for saying that. What
did you say?
He didn't get the touchdown from the brotherly shove.
No. After that.
People can get off my back
about
it.
I thought you said on. I was like, wait, what? I'm sorry. I misheard that.
Sir. But no, Jalen Hurts had a fabulous day for 5 touchdowns in this one, in the game against the Bills in the overtime win.
Yeah.
That y'all were praying on my downfall, thinking, oh my God, he's gonna run from the chat because after we talked about Jalen the previous no, I was going to be fully accepted.
Finally, a Jalen won this weekend.
Yeah, I know. And when
somebody won and it ain't me.
Yeah, and then proceed to come back. But that game should be really good. I have a bone to pick with the NFL. The primetime game selections, I feel like are horrible. We got stuck with on my birthday weekend, November 12th. I had to get stuck with watching the Jets and the Raiders.
That's like Kyle watching the Bills living in Georgia.
Yeah, I live in Georgia and I see the Bills. Like, listen, I understand sometimes I see the freaking Jaguars. Why am I watching the Bills? Well, I have some choice words for CBS, but I will not get into that today.
Kyle's about to go full me in terms of rant.
But I do got to ask, who you guys got winning, Eagles versus Niners? And if you guys ask me who I have, Philadelphia.
Then Philadelphia wins.
Philly.
I got Philly as well.
If it's in San Francisco, I'd say San Francisco.
A Cowboys fan picking an man.
Well, when you give me those two options, it's like picking the lesser of two evils.
I mean, you guys are gonna get killed next week, but it's the time. But I can't wait to see Eagles.
Hey, listen, as long as Dallas does well this week. As long as I do well this week, I need Dak Prescott to go off.
Listen, as far as fantasy, I've already got my first round bye clinch because I'm unbeaten, by the way.
So have I.
I was going to say, it's rivalry week in Kyle's fantasy.
Yeah, it's 12. I'm 12-0.
Speaking of Kyle, we never got the name of that fantasy team. What's your fantasy team name?
Yes. What is it?
We're still going to have to wait for that one.
Release the names.
Throw back to episode 2 or 3, I believe.
Listen, I'm not going to release that name until a certain someone releases their tax returns. So we might be waiting a while.
Speaking of waiting a while, Uncle C sends his regards. He is a little bit too full after Thanksgiving to be with us this week.
Sure, it's not too stuffed.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, Chris was getting stuffed over Thanksgiving break.
Whoa! My mother watches this.
What do you mean?
She watches this?
She watched you get stuffed?
No.
What do you mean?
No. That sounds like a certain film production.
I'm gonna need three. I'm gonna need 3 straight Drewski. What do you mean by that?
What do you
3
mean?
straight of those memes.
Y'all
when
are
I go
like
edit
trying.
this.
Can you enunciate when you talk to? Okay.
Sir.
What do you mean by
Listen,
that?
Uncle C sends his regards. He wanted to be here, but he'll be here next week for Cowboys versus Eagles.
Oh boy.
Listen,
that's gonna be something.
I am inclined to believe that we gotta wrap things up. We appreciate all of you guys watching. We'll be back for the Christmas edition episode, final week, the semester finale, I should say, of this year. We appreciate it. Take care of your mentals as always, and remember, if you can't take the heat in the kitchen, what makes you think you can survive the Inferno?
Why the kitchen specifically?
Because I live in there.
Let's
wrap things.
You definitely eat in there.
Chris lives in the kitchen, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I can cook mighty well.
You can eat mighty well too.
Yeah, I want right into that. Hey, yo, man, we appreciate y'all watching, man. Yo, Craig, say bye to the people.
Bye, Felicia.
I almost went, about time you walked somewhere.